Now, a Boeing passenger plane has crashed in Iran near Tehran's Imam Khomeini International Airport. 176 passengers and crew had been on board, and there are no survivors. The plane's black box has been found. Authorities say a fire struck one of its engines shortly after takeoff. The aircraft belonged to Ukraine International Airlines and was heading to Kiev. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has extended his condolences to the families of the victims. Joining me now, live from the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, is Peter Zalmayev. And Peter is the director of the Eurasia Democracy Initiative. Could this be related? What link do you see with the developments happening now in Iran?
Well, obviously, it's too soon to tell, but there are certain circumstantial developments that make and have made Ukrainian experts, Ukrainian government officials, very wary of offering any sort of clear-cut, theories as to what happened. First, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry issued a statement blaming the tragedy on some kind of a technical glitch, on an engine failure that caused the plane to crash. Later, it backtracked when the Ukraine International Airlines decided to go against that story and claimed that the Boeing in question was in top shape, was brand new. And so with everything happening on the ground in Iran, with the bombing of Iran of U.S. bases in Iraq, it seems that, there is at least cause for caution before offering any sort of opinion now. And of course, it doesn't help that the Iranians have refused to make public the contents of the black box. So there's a lot of opinion being shared now on Ukrainian social networks, claiming that it may have been either a U.S. drone that was stray in Iranian skies that collided with the plane, or it may have been an errant missile that also by mistake may have shot down the plane. It is very questionable that Iranians were interested in shooting down the plane that carried the majority of the passengers were of Iranian origin, and there were no Americans, to my knowledge, on the plane, and there were the second largest group was Canadian. So it just doesn't square the circle of that conspiracy theory.
And Peter, what do we know about this Ukrainian airliner's safety record?
It's quite questionable. It actually belongs to Mr. Kolomoisky, who's one of Ukraine's richest men. He's quite a controversial figure, and the airline itself for a long time was a de facto monopoly of Ukrainian international flights. It has not been perfect, but there hasn't been a major tragedy such as this in a while.
And 176 passengers, as you said, they're not all from Ukraine, but what is the reaction there in the country now?
Well, the reaction is such that, whatever's happening in Iran is all of a sudden resonating very, very close to home. The world for Ukrainians, once again, is looking much, much smaller. And also it has some eerie parallels, for whatever it's worth, to the downing of the Malaysian, if you remember, airliner that happened in 2014, in the summer of 2014, over the skies of eastern Ukraine. So a very poignant and very nervous moment for Ukraine as well.
Indeed, and our condolences. Peter, thank you very much indeed for your time. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Peter Zalmayev.